The Honor 400 comes as a fresh, new release in the mid-range segment. For less than 25,000 pesos, it offers solid performance and a capable camera experience. On paper alone, the Honor 400 5G does make itself one of the most promising mid-range phones that you can get today. What else is a promising mid-ranger phone, you ask? Well, it is no other than the Samsung Galaxy A56. And despite being launched after nearly 3 months, this one still proves to be a solid option in its class. Which one offers more value for your money? Let's find out in this comparison review of the Honor 400 versus the Galaxy A56. I'm your host CJ, and let's dive in right into the video. First off, the looks. And we see significant design changes for both models in this area. Gone is the oval-shaped camera island on the Honor 400 and is replaced by a sort of trapezoidal module that houses its dual camera setup. This adds a touch of uniqueness to its overall design, and it surely looks way better than its predecessor, the Honor 200, in our opinion. Our unit is in the desert gold colorway, which sports a matte back and a smooth metal frame. It has a slim profile measuring 7.3mm thin, and it's light in the hands too, weighing only 184 grams. Moving over to the Galaxy A56, it retains the signature Galaxy look but with a little twist. The 3 cameras are still aligned vertically on the left. There is now an oval-shaped module housing all 3 cameras on top of it, except the LED flash. The Galaxy A56 unit that we have comes in the light gray colorway, sporting a glass back in glossy finish, and a metal frame as well. It is a tad bit heavier though, weighing almost 200 grams. And as for the frame, it's more or less the same size, measuring 7.4mm thin, but it is wider at 77.5mm. The bump in dimensions and weight makes sense as the Galaxy A56 sports a larger screen, which we'll get to in a bit. I'm happy to report that both get strong dust and water resistance ratings, albeit the Galaxy A56 is IP67 rated, while the Honor 400 is rated IP66. In terms of design and build, both phones do look sleek and practical, although what sets the Galaxy A56 apart is its additional protection from front to back. Both the display and rear panels are covered by Corning Gorilla Glass Victus Plus, making them more resistant to drops and scratches. Thus, the Galaxy A56 gets the point for offering a more durable overall build. Flip both phones over and you'll be greeted by varying display sizes. The Honor 400 5G is relatively smaller, featuring a 6.56-inch AMOLED display but with a slightly higher 2K screen resolution at 2780 by 1264 pixels. Meanwhile, the Samsung Galaxy A56 goes for a 6.7-inch Super AMOLED display with a slightly lower yet still crisp Full HD Plus screen resolution at 2340 by 1080 pixels. And both sport flat display panels, which I personally prefer over curved ones, so that's good to have. Despite the difference in screen resolution though, the Galaxy A56 display is equally good as the Honor 400's. Colors look nice and vivid, and you can expect an enjoyable visual experience for both models. Audio experience, on the other hand, well, both phones offer a decent soundstage at best. They both have dual stereo speakers, albeit the Honor 400's audio comes out a bit flat, lacking detail. And the Galaxy A56 isn't as loud to our liking. Still, for casual viewing, both phones will do just fine. These are mid-range phones after all, so you'd have to set your expectations. Now, in terms of biometric security, both phones provide an under-display fingerprint sensor along with face recognition. For display protection, as I mentioned earlier, the Galaxy A56 features Corning Gorilla Glass Victus Plus. Fortunately, the Honor 400 also comes with a scratch-resistant glass, leveling the playing field in this round. So both phones get a point in this round. Performance-wise, you won't be disappointed on either of the 2 phones. The Honor 400 5G boasts the Snapdragon 7 Gen 3, a 4nm chipset configured with 12GB of RAM and 512GB of internal storage. Meanwhile, the Galaxy A56 boasts Samsung's in-house chip, the Exynos 1580, which is also built on a 4nm process. Our unit came with 8GB of RAM and 128GB of internal storage. Now, before you jump into the comments saying the Exynos still sucks, well, I have good news for you, it doesn't. As you can see in our benchmark test, the Galaxy A56 yielded better results. The Galaxy A56 yielded relatively better results across the board except the Antutu storage, and that's likely because it has lower RAM and storage capacities. Anyways, in Antutu, the Galaxy A56 scored over 900,000 points, which is relatively higher than that of the Honor 400's 850,000 score. The same goes for the Geekbench CPU and GPU tests, where the Galaxy A56 outperformed the competition, most especially in the GPU tests, scoring nearly twice as high. This implies that the Galaxy A56 can handle more graphically demanding tasks. However, in real-world use case, you'd barely notice the difference. You can expect both phones to run smoothly on your day-to-day tasks. For gaming though, you may have to set your expectations. While both phones can run casual games just fine, the more graphic-intensive titles like Wuthering Waves or Zenless Zone Zero are only playable in low graphic settings, as you would expect from a mid-range device. With the higher benchmark scores, ideally, I would be compelled to give the point this round to the Galaxy A56. However, since the Honor 400 offers double the storage, that's 512GB compared to the A56 default 256GB, it's more reasonable to call this round a tie. Moving on to camera performance, this is where we can see quite a big difference. The Galaxy A56 features a triple rear camera setup consisting of a 50MP main shooter, a 12MP ultra-wide, and a 5MP macro lens. This is the very same setup from the Galaxy A56, mind you. It boasts a dual rear setup led by a 200MP primary sensor, along with a 12MP ultra-wide. Interestingly, in its predecessor, the Honor 200, and it's kind of a bad change as it took out a 50MP telephoto lens in exchange of a higher 200MP sensor, but I digress. Image quality is generally good on both models, offering vibrant colors, sharp details, and solid dynamic range. However, photos captured by the Honor 400 stand out a bit more to my liking. The way it handles processing works like a charm, and what I mean by that is most often than not, shots taken with the Honor 400 are mostly ready for upload. No need for any further editing. Check out our sample shots right here to get a better idea on how these phones perform. As for video, both forms support optical image stabilization, capable of shooting up to 4K at 30 frames per second. Just like the image quality, videos come out generally good from both phones. And the OIS helps you a lot to keep your shots clean and stabilized. Despite us saying that higher megapixels doesn't necessarily equate to better quality, the Honor 400 seems to be living up to expectations. It performs relatively better than the competition, at least in capturing images, so I'll give it the point this round. Battery-wise, the Honor 400 has a clear edge. Despite its slim, lightweight design, it packs a larger 6000mAh battery, which is possible using silicon carbon tech. On the other hand, the Galaxy A56 packs a 5000mAh unit paired with 45 watts of charging. However, our battery life tests tell a different story. With a larger capacity, you expect the Honor 400 to last a little longer, right? Well, in our testing, it was the opposite. The Galaxy A56 lasted a bit longer by at least 15 minutes. We presume that's a difference in chipset efficiency, or the Honor 400 just needs software optimizations, but that's quite a bummer at this point. Both lasted just about 15 hours of runtime in PC battery test. Not that great, but should be decent enough for most users. Besides, it only takes less than an hour at most for the Honor 400 to fully charge, and the Galaxy A56 takes over an hour to get from 0 to 100. In that regard, it seems there is no clear winner, so I'm giving a point to both models this round. On the software side, both phones run Android 15 out of the box, whereas the Honor 400 and the Galaxy A56 are skinned with Magic OS 9 and One UI 7 respectively. I'm happy to report that both models are promised to get up to 6 years of software updates. Samsung and Google were the first ones to commit such a long software support duration. It's nice to see other manufacturers like Honor do the same. Both software look good in terms of UI design and functional with lots of neat features to tinker with, especially with their own take of AI. Stuff like Google's Circle to Search, AI image editor, and the likes are readily available for both phones. There's little bloatware to be seen here as well, offering a clean software experience. UI design differs of course, but design is subjective, so I'll let you be the judge of that. Both have the essential connectivity features including 5G, NFC, and Wi-Fi 6. An additional utility for the Honor 400 though is the inclusion of an IR blaster, convenient for using your phone as a universal remote for your home appliances. However, that alone won't earn the Honor 400 the full point this round. And since both phones will last you for many years to come, it's just right to make another tie this round. So, we have come to the last part of the comparison review, and with all the facts mentioned, which one offers more value for your money? If it's only price we're talking about, then the Honor 400 sweeps the competition, priced at only 22,999 pesos for the 12GB plus 512GB configuration. With that double storage capacity alone, you'll surely get the most out of your money. On top of that, it provides a capable camera experience, a nice 2K screen, and a solid overall experience at a price that's hard to beat. However, that doesn't mean that the Samsung Galaxy A56 should be off your radar. It's an easy recommendation for anyone looking for a solid all-rounder under 25,000 pesos. As for its price, it starts at 23,990 pesos for the 8GB plus 128GB trim. But if you have more cash to spare, the 256GB variant goes for 25,990 pesos. So there you have it. What do you think of this comparison between the Honor 400 5G versus the Samsung Galaxy A56? Are you Team Honor or Team Samsung? Let us know what you think in the comment section below. If you find this video helpful or informative, give us a thumbs up. Subscribe to our channel, hit that bell icon, get notified of our future uploads. Follow us on the socials, that's Facebook, Instagram, X, and TikTok, and jjgutech.com for the latest tech news and reviews. Once again, I'm CJ, and I'll catch you guys in the next video. Bye! See you later!